hold on. We're not getting any desktop audio, and I don't know why. Sorry, before this goes any further, what did I fuck up?
They didn't hear it.
Do over now.
Okay, someone say something that isn't me.
All right, that is.
Ah, yes. Yes, we are audible again. Yes, hi. Merc,
Okay.
take it away! Because I've already dropped it.
Alrighty. So, tonight we are not streaming Eggs to Eden. We decided instead to stream a relatively new tabletop RPG called Cerebos, the Crystal City, by Penguin Crystal, Penguin something publisher. I've forgotten.
It's on the Twitters. They're linked on the Twitters.
Yeah, it's on the Twitter.
Including their Kickstarter link.
So, we're going to try this and see how it goes. It's a pretty rules-light system, much more narratively focused. It can be played with a GM. In this case, we are playing with a GM, and that is me. I am the GM. In this case, my job is to be the conductor. All the NPCs required for flashbacks, and all the other NPCs who are on the train. So if you have a specific accent request, let us know, and I'll do my best. More likely I'll fuck it up horribly, but, you know, such is life.
Woohoo! Point is, we will still have fun.
Indeed. So, our game begins in a city by the sea. Specifically, the city by the sea. A train has pulled into the station. Clouds of steam and smoke swirl over the train and conceal the engine and most of its cars. Four passengers are getting on the train, each in one car. In the first car, at least the first car towards the front, it's not actually the first car, but it's the first one that we see. A young lady in a gray Victorian traveling dress gets on to the train, stepping up, helped up by one of the ushers. She is carrying a small valise. Oh, where is it? There. And on her hand glitters a silvery ring. Close up, it shows small gears engraved on the surface. She steps into her car, and we move to the next traveler that we see. He is a tall, nondescript man in a suit. He, too, carries a small bag. Where's it gone? In his hands, we see he stops and checks a pocket watch. A quick glance up to the clock tower shows that the time on the watch does not match the time on the clock. He closes it and walks inside the train car. The third one along is a short, smartly dressed woman. Her hair is tied up in a tight bun, and she carries with her an old carpet bag. When the usher hands her up into the train car, she smiles and hands him a tip. When she opens the carpet bag, we see a glimpse of a lot more cash and the glint of something silver deep inside. And finally, the final person to get on the train is a tall, thin woman with a very serious face, and she is wearing a military uniform, green, with gold on the shoulders, covered in medals. She carries nothing except a sword in one hand, a sword at her hip, and a book in her hand. No, not packages. What's the word I want? No bags or baggage for her. She refuses the usher's hand and steps onto the train herself. As the train doors close, you hear the whistle, and the train slowly pulls away from the station. The train is on its way to Cerebos, and our players are on a journey of self-discovery and knowledge and hopefully growth. So, after our intro, let's have each of our players introduce themselves however they see fit, and we will deal out the secret objectives. Each character gets a secret objective from the person Widdershins to them. So, for instance, you would give to the Hour of Devastation would give to the General would give to the Lady Doctor, and the Lady Doctor would give to the Clockwork Ghost, and the Clockwork Ghost would give to the Hour of Devastation. Just send it to me on Discord, and I will write them down in this little book, and I will show everyone except the player and the audience, and I'll show the audience as well. So, when it's your turn, let me know, and I'll write it down. So, let's begin with introductions, and let's go clockwise. Zardoz.
I'm playing the Arab Devastation, nondescript man. I'm not sure why I'm on the train yet. We'll figure that out as we go along.
And the General. You are somehow muted.
You're talking to the mic.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta eat the mic. Got it. I'm playing the General. Also not entirely sure why I'm on the train, but I'm sure it will come to me in time.
I'm playing the Lady Doctor. I carry with me a limitless imagination and memories of old loves, but I'm still not quite sure why I'm on the train, but I'm sure someone will come up with the idea.
And I am the Clockwork Ghost. I'm not sure if that's my real name, but I do have some mechanical skill and a deep-seated sense of curiosity, so I'm very curious to find out why I am on this train and where I'm going. Well, I know where I'm going. We're going to the Crystal City. But why?
All right.
So the order we're using, the order you gave us is what is on your screen. Which order are we using the order we just introduced ourselves in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm coming up with something for the Clockwork Ghost.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, if the Lady Doctor would close her eyes. Josh, close your eyes for a second.
Yep.
Okay. So here is what the Lady Doctor is looking for. Is this backwards? All right, everyone see it? Chris, are you looking?
Oh.
Real quick.
Well, let me bring up the Zoom screen instead, because it's easier for me to read. Okay.
All right. Now everyone knows. Josh, open your eyes.
Okay, thank you. I proceeded to send a goal in while our eyes were closed. I hope it came out okay.
Okay.
All right.
I just PM you?
Yep, basically. All right. So, General, Lisa, close your eyes. Everyone got it? All right.
Yeah, you should be good.
Yes. Sorry.
I'm going to ask people in the chat room to not directly tell us what our secret goal is, because we're actually, some of us are reading the chat.
Yes, no spoilers for the players, please.
All right.
So, Arcana Sage, no matter how clever you think your comment is, if it's about our goals, please don't do that.
All right. So, will a clockwork ghost please close her eyes? There we go.
Lisa,
All right,
you should
everyone
look at
got
this. You actually...
I did.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I have a screen too, remember?
I know. I remember
Alrighty. Clockwork ghost, you may open your eyes. My apologies for the handwriting. I'm trying my best.
I'm just
It's
hoping
fine.
what I
It's
wrote makes any
lovely.
sense. Because it's been a bad brain fog day for me. Which is part of why I decided to play something that might be a ghost. What? Jail for brain fog. Jail for 1,000 years.
Alright. TPS over this one. Okay. This.
Hour of devastation. Please close
Close
your
your eyes,
eyes.
please.
Hi.
Sorry. Forgot to warn you. That's on me. Alright. Nope, too far. Sorry, I can't see my own screen like this. Alright, there we go.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
Alright. Observation, please open your eyes. Have them written down for the future. Alright. As you get on the train, please describe the car you're getting onto. Let's start with the Clockwork Ghost.
Oh, sorry. I was posting in chat. Yeah, remember, don't post about our secret goals. What did you say? Sorry.
Alright, so as the train pulls away from the station in the city by the sea, you have each gotten onto a different car. Please describe the car that you got on.
I think I'm in the equivalent of coach class. So not a very expensive car, and there's plenty of room for maybe 6 to 8 people, but for some reason I'm sitting in here by myself. So I lucked out.
Okay, and is it a shabby kind of rundown sort of place, or is it fairly nice for a coach car? What color are the seats?
I would say it's tidy, but yes, a bit threadbare. The seats are a kind of maybe brown tweed, maybe tweed is the worst, but a brown rough upholstery. It's been patched up in several places with matching fabric, but someone who knows what they're looking for can see the patches. The windows are a little grimy on the outside.
Are there any lights inside?
There's probably one. I'm not sure if they'd have gas lamps in a train, but it's stylized to look like a gas lamp. And it's casting a kind of amber light.
Okay.
But I think, is it daytime?
It's currently daytime.
So it's on, but it's not really necessary yet.
Alrighty. So, and I believe the next person in line was the lady doctor.
It is. So I've sat in. I am in first class. After all, I have a lot of money, at least for now. And there are 3 other passengers, but I'm largely ignoring them while I sit down, pull out a tray in front of me, and start drawing while the train sets up to set off.
All right. So you said you're in first class. Is it how fancy is it?
Not super fancy. I mean, it is. There's reasonable upholstery, but it's clearly seen some wear, and it possibly needs some of the brass fixtures probably need some polishing. So it's not the absolute lap of luxury, but it looks comfortable and pleasant, like a place you'd like to curl up and take a nap.
All right. And next up is the general.
It's a car that's got. You would think Spartan luxury would be a contradiction in terms, and yet.
You're a little soft. Can you either eat the mic or turn the gain up?
Is this better?
Yes.
The mic slipped on me. Sorry about that.
I also turn the gain up. If it's too much, tell me.
I'm trying to get the mic to stay in position since my mouth seems to be naturally here. Okay. You would think that Spartan and luxury were contradiction in terms, and yet somehow this is a train car of Spartan luxury. It's low on possessions, but the lines are sleek. The seat, the fold-out bed is of top quality. The sheets look like they would be terribly uncomfortable, but they're not. And there's also a small ice bucket with some very nice champagne in it.
Okay. All right. And finally is the hour of devastation.
He actually gets on at the bar, where all the meals are served. That's where he's actually hanging out.
Right, the diner car.
So he's in the diner car, and it's well apportioned. I mean, this particular diner car is well made. It's well cared for. It's well taken care of. It's not super luxurious, but it's high quality. There is a person behind the bar who's seemingly making small talk with people while people file in and out, moving on to other cars in the train. But he's just sitting here by himself.
Okay. Is it just tables in the diner car? Is there an actual bar?
There's a bar. There are tables both. It's
Okay.
probably one of the largest cars in the train. It's probably also where the food is prepared.
Okay. What color is it just plain wood seats? Are there seats at the bar? Is it just table seats?
The seating for the people who aren't at the bar are booths, and they're upholstered in a dark cream color almost. It's that weird shade of you're not sure if it's gray or if it's brown.
Mm-hmm. Grayish.
Yeah, it's grayish. The furniture itself is dark mahogany. The bar itself is it's got a granite top with marbled red lines in it. well, not marbled lines, but it's got red lines out running through the surface of the granite.
Mm-hmm.
The stools don't have backs, but they do swivel.
Okay. All right. As each one of you settles into their chosen car, a man starts walking through the train. He encounters the lady doctor first and introduces himself. Good evening. My name is Peter Dinklage, and I regret saying that now. But I'm gonna roll with it. Fuck it. Peter Dinklage, and I will be your
bit.
Huh?
Commit to the bit.
And I will be your conductor for this evening. Tickets, please. You're muted.
I am not, but I was possibly too far away from the mic. Hello, Peter. Good to meet you. Here are my tickets. Where's my ticket, rather?
You present your tickets, and he punches them and hands them back. You're not sure where the tickets came from or where they went when you put them away, but you had tickets.
Where can I go to get a drink here?
The diner car is 2 cars further down the train. If you would follow me, I will proceed there shortly.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
So he continues to head down the train. His next through, it goes first class, another first class coach, and then the diner car. So it takes about 15 minutes, but he shows up in the diner car and he starts, whoever's there, he starts talking to them. Tickets, please. May I please see your tickets? And eventually he gets to the hour devastation.
Ticket?
Tickets. He takes a ticket, he punches it, and he hands it back. Thank you very much for your time. And if you would, please. If the lady doctor followed him,
yes.
She finds the diner car. He'll keep going on. After the diner car comes second class, then third class / economy, which is where the Clockwork Ghost is, and this takes a while more, about 45 minutes, and as much as time really passes on the train, the desert outside is unchanging and featureless, and eventually he ends up in the third class car that the Clockwork Ghost is in. Tickets, please, ma'am.
I hand over my ticket. Does it have any names on it? Or is it just the destination and a generic ticket?
It's just a destination and a generic ticket. There's not even a starting location on it. It just says to Cerebos in fancy letters. He punches it and hands it back to you and continues onward. And then after the third class cars come the sleeper cars. So people with individual rooms, this is where they'd be. Furthest away from the engine, from all the noise and the smell. So, tickets, please. Tickets. Knocking the door. Tickets.
Would that be my cabin?
Yes.
I open the door and hand out the ticket like I'm handing it to a military officer.
Very good, sir. And he takes it and he punches it and he hands it back. Please be aware that the diner car is open at all times. If you require a pass, it is further up past the first, third, and second class coaches. You will find other amenities possibly in other cars. Thank you very much for your time. He continues on towards the end for more sleeper cabins, and something happens because it's the start of the journey. Time to roll an event. 1 moment, please.
First roll!
Yes. So I am rolling. I'm going to roll 2d6. 1d6 determines the table, and the second d6 determines the entry. With the jingly dice, because I love them. Alright.
And each player needs 2d6 to play this game.
Yes. Trait rolls will be done in 2d6. Most rolls are trait rolls, and then I believe the epilogue roll is also 2d6, as is releasing a touchdown. Alright, so 3. Oops, nope. So 3, number 4. The smooth singing of the train's movement is interrupted by a series of jostles and oddly timed metal squeals, which the knowledgeable traveler may be able to recognize as the course mode. Oh, there are such promises hidden in the high-pitched message. Joys, delights, and gorgeous days await those who follow the message's instructions. Unfortunately, the actual instructions are encoded or otherwise garbled. There is no danger in attempting to decode the message, at least not directly. Unfortunately, the message tends to find its way into the mind whether listeners desire it or not. All who hear the message carry the message. Those who wish to contain the message must stop the journey of any who hear it, or at least confirm that they've reached the correct interpretation. So, now the train is in motion. We are currently in the train actions section of the play. Each person gets one action per round. The train rounds continue until someone calls for a stop. You have an event, a message that is coming through the rattles and clanks of the train itself in a sort of code. I believe it's supposed to be Morse code, but you may attempt to decode it, and you may ask the conductor about it. You can do conductor actions, and you can do other actions that are detailed currently in the Discord if you need a reference. So, each person gets one action a turn. Who wants to start?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll engage with the code.
Engage with what?
Engage the event.
Okay. So go ahead and describe to us how you're going to do that.
I will head to the. Let's see this train. If there's more security coming across here, I will find the radio office, the radio receiver on this train.
So I just went to get a drink, and one of the few other people in here is just leaving. Oh well.
And I will go see if I can convey the message to him and see if they'll explain it back to me. They'll translate it.
Okay. So you head towards the front of the train because you know that's where the engineering and that sort of thing. The closer to the engine you get, the more likely you are to find amenities as opposed to people. The further back you get from the engine, the fewer amenities there are, but the less noise there is as well. So you head towards the front. You walk through one first-class carriage. The people all side-eye you there like... There are a wide variety of people, but all of them really don't look at you like you belong there. And then a second carriage full of the first-class carriage that the lady doctor entered in the first time. I believe there were 3 other people on, you said?
I said there were 3 other people, yeah.
Yeah. There are 3 people in this carriage. The lights cast... The internal lights are on, although not entirely necessary. None of the shades are down over the windows, and the light streams in. The rattling of the code still comes up through this carriage as well. And the genteel brass, somewhat in need of a repair possibly, or a polish, reflects glints of light back at you at interesting moments. As you continue through the car, someone sniffs loudly, but when you glance around, you can't see who. So you continue on forward, and you end up finding the message/postcard.
Excellent.
There is a man operating the telegraph at the front of the car.
Hey, friend, how are you?
Well, I've been better, but I guess I've been worse too.
I keep hearing this Morse coded message, and I'm trying to make sure that I have translated it correctly, and I will put down a nonsensical translation and hand it over to him. That's not right, is it?
No, of course it ain't right. You know, I haven't heard anything come to the telegraph, but there is kind of a rhythm to the train, isn't there?
Yeah.
Haven't heard that in a while. Doesn't usually come that way.
Do you know what it says?
I might. Roll your trait.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
roll
rolling
2d6, and if you fuck it up, you can use a trait.
Okay. I rolled 7.
Okay, on a 7, I posted the tables. On a 7, a 6 is a partial success. Not everything you hope for happens. Either you give it 60% effort, or you get what you want, but something unfortunate also happens. The danger decreases by 1, but there's a cost.
I will get what I want and then take my comeuppance for being in the wrong part of the train.
Gain 2 momentum or 1 damage is your choice, but you can't choose to gain momentum if the trait attached is attached to a keepsake. If you've given away the related touchstone, if you roll without using a trait, but you can't choose to gain momentum if the trait is attached to the keepsake if you've given away the related touchstone, or if you roll without using a trait. The GM or your group may decide the narrative consequences replace the narrative consequences replace the damage or momentum gain. So, what do you guys think?
I'm thinking damage from getting beaten back to the lower class portion of the train.
So social damage.
Yeah.
What does momentum do again?
Momentum affects the.
Oh, is it the train moving faster and thus increasing danger?
No, it's more. Sorry, go ahead.
Momentum is attached to a touchstone, so it makes a touchstone harder to get rid of.
Yeah, and momentum is. It's more like weight in a story. The more momentum you attach to a touchstone, the more narrative weight it holds to you. It's like an anchor to you.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly holding you back or possibly holding you to the present. You don't know. But it's narrative weight.
So yes. So social damage sounds fun. From a GM. I'm not the GM. Chris, delight in your freedom. You're not the GM.
So yeah.
I vote chaos.
Yeah, I don't think this is a train that locks you up for walking through the first class cabin. So I think that the damage makes sense, as would momentum, depending on,
Yeah, but you roll without a trait, so you can't attach the momentum to anything because you didn't use anything.
So I will have to take my lup and have fun.
So the gent takes off his headphones that have been attached to the telegraph for a second and just kind of listens, and he starts scratching his. Well, it's kind of like this, and it's kind of like that. It's not an exact science, especially not when it's coming through the rails like this. And then you both hear somebody clear their throat loudly at the opening at the door to the to this car. And the telegraph operator just freezes like a deer in the headlights. And you look behind you and you see one of the people from the first class compartment who, from the Lady Ghost first class, not Lady Ghost, sorry, Lady Doctor's first class compartment. He's a tall man wearing a very pompous kind of gold brocade coat, and a long curly mustache. And he goes, "Well, I can see they allow any kind through here, but unless your ticket says first class, I would recommend that you get back to where you're going and leave the gentleman to his work."
I pull up my ticket. I look at my ticket.
It says to Cerebos. It says Cerebos, the Crystal City. It is, however, done in silver ink.
Here's my ticket.
He sniffs loudly, and it sounds exactly like the sniff you heard when you were walking through, and pulls out his own ticket. Cerebos is written in gold ink.
So yours doesn't say first class either.
He looks down his nose at you, and the telegraph operator is like, "It's more than my job's worth to get between you two. Both of you out, and you, here, take this." And he hands you a couple of words on a piece of paper with more symbols beside it. And it says, "To begin." And that's as far as he got.
Thanks, Charlie.
The tall man sniffs again and leaves. Sorry I can't give you more, but I need this job.
Hey, do you have the spare code book?
I don't use a code book. I got them all memorized, I do.
Excellent. Stay out of trouble, Charlie. I'll head back to the diner car.
All right, you have decreased the event's danger by 1. It is now a level 4 event.
Can you reiterate what the danger stated in the event is?
Yes. So, the smooth singing of the train's movement is interrupted with a series of jostles and oddly timed metal squeals. Okay. There is no danger in attempting to decode the message, at least not directly. Unfortunately, the message tends to find its way into the mind whether the listeners desire it or not. All who hear the message carry the message. Those who wish to contain the message must stop the journey of any who hear it, or at least confirm that they've reached the correct interpretation.
May I go next? Might I try to decode the message using my mechanics skill trait?
You certainly can. Please try and narrate it for us. I mean, This is
Okay.
a very, there's no set order of people who go here. You decide each other how you go. But for whatever action you do, please do try and narrate us a little bit of, a little snapshot, if you will, of what you're doing.
Well, this would be... I don't know if I'm using her silver gear ring yet, or using it, but narratively, she's just sort of listening to the clicks and whirs and squeaks and squeals of something that is most certainly mechanical. She would assume is most certainly mechanical, and this feels like something familiar. Something as familiar to her as her own name. She can't quite put together why, but she just sort of absently takes out her ring and starts spinning it on her finger, sort of working out a mathematical sequence between and behind and around all of these noises of a machine trying to communicate, which is somehow part of what she does, or who she is. She's not entirely sure.
Okay. Fair enough. Roll your 2d6.
Okay. Good enough, brain fog girl. Okay. I rolled a 7.
All right.
So again, that is a mixed success.
Yes, partial success. Not everything you hope for happens. Either you gave it 60% effort, or you get what you want, but something unfortunate also happens. So either gain 2 momentum or 1 damage. It's your choice. If you gain 2 momentum, then it's the silver ring that gains 2 momentum.
Okay. I'm going to take 2 momentum to the silver ring, because I'm curious to see how that happens. And I'm a little bit Chaos Goblin.
Okay. So as you're working through the sequences and stuff, you can hear it. It's like a language you knew at some point in your past, but have forgotten. It's very familiar somehow to you. It's the song of the rails. It's the movement of mechanical things, and also pistons whirring and things turning and gears whizzing to and fro. You get a couple more words than the hour did. To begin, in the place, let's see, that is perfect. And the danger decreases by 1 and is now a danger 3 event.
So it's probably coming to her almost like an old nursery rhyme.
Yeah. Exactly.
As she gazes into her makeshift fidget spinner.
Yeah.
But that means that because she's doing that and she notices, oh, I know this. I know this as if it were a nursery rhyme. I know as if I've known it my whole life. This ring becomes more important and she is less willing to give it away.
Yes.
Okay, understood. So she puts it back on her finger a little bit more guardedly and maybe less inclined to take it off again.
Yep. All right. So, last two players who have not gone this round.
Sure. Lisa, you have something?
Yeah, but it tends to be also in isolation. So if you want to put people together, you should.
No, that's okay. We're currently not doing that, so it's fine.
I think probably the general is aware of the tapping and that it's in code, and will instinctively try to decode it because that's what you do.
Okay.
Probably also pouring a glass of champagne while trying to work it out.
Okay. Can you describe it for us a bit more?
So I'm pouring the champagne and sipping it, and as I'm sipping it, I'm sort of like tapping my fingers on the sideboard, kind of in rhythm with the message coming through, trying to remember, okay, if it's this sort of code, then that would be a dot and a dash, and that's probably a pause, but if it's that sort of code, and so on.
Okay. Is she doing this naturally, or is she using any of her touchstones?
Probably mine, like a steel trap, is the most appropriate, so maybe fingering the metals on her jacket as she's thinking about this.
Okay. Roll it.
Okay. That would be a 10.
All right. 10 is, I believe, a full success. Straight up. Nothing fancy here. You did it. The danger decreases by 1. So.
The danger is now down to what?
It's now down to a danger 2 event.
Mm-hmm.
So, General, as you're listening to the rattle of the train, you can hear it kind of grooving along, and it starts to sound kind of familiar to you. Like, you weren't always a general. You did lots of other jobs. Well, not lots of other jobs. You were an officer, but you worked with codemen before, especially in your days in the Army. Or are you in Army?
Probably Army.
Probably the Army, right. In the Army. So, basically, your brain remembers the little snips and catches of DAWs and DITs that correspond to certain messages because you heard them all the time. All messages end in stop, for example. You know the stop code pretty well. So, you're listening, and it's almost instinctive for you to reach up and touch your medals as you remember these things, remembering the actions that led to the medals being pinned on your chest that were told to you by the code monkeys, the up telegraph operators who ran messages. So as these familiar sounding sounds, you start, you drink champagne with one hand and you touch the medals with the other, and then you're like, huh, very odd. To begin, in the city that is perfect, the Prosperity Guild has its headquarters.
Sure. I'm going to say that I'm going to engage the other side of this event, which is that somebody who does not want the message to be decoded is, say, attacking the train to make sure it doesn't get decoded.
You want the message to stop?
I don't want the message to stop. Somebody wants the message to stop, and I'm going to try to help prevent that. I mean, it could be that somebody's attacked, say, the dining car, and I have to heal it. Or it could be that there is some assassin on board who has poisoned, say, the bartender. And I need to do emergency doctoring to help them so that the message is not delayed or stopped by those who wish to stop its end.
Okay. So someone wants to stop the message, and you want the message to continue.
Right.
So stop the message would be to stop people from spreading it. I think that it wouldn't be the bartender. It would be Charlie, the telegraph operator, who would be most likely be targeted to stop the message.
Sure.
So describe to us the scene.
Sure. I have gotten a multi-layered drink from the bar and sipped about half of it. Having heard the commotion coming through the first class car, enter holding my drink. Is the hour of devastation still there?
He's probably moved on out of the first class area.
So we probably pass in the thing with me swaying slightly, holding my drink, and not being bothered at all going through the first class car.
Yep. Nope. Nobody looks at you twice. Don't bat an eye. You clearly belong there, after all.
Clearly.
So, you walk through the first class cars, and
I do. But I notice a shadow slinking quickly away from the telegraph car right above, and a strangled cry, and go running in. Oh,
okay.
What's going on?
You come running in, and the door is loose in your hand, like it didn't quite latch properly. So when you throw it open, it bangs open a little harder than you thought it would, because, you thought you'd have to undo the overcome the latching, but you didn't. The mail car is not as well lit as perhaps the other cars are. It doesn't really have windows. It's got little electric lights in the midpoint and at the front. It's no one answers you, but as you step in, you do see the lights reflect off a trickle of liquid coming down the center of the train, and Charlie appears to be slumped over his desk.
Shit. Let's see. Let's look down his throat. No. Well, this shakes her peak. He's out of fever.
I mean, the knife stuck upward and to the left in his back might be a big clue as to what's wrong with him.
Oh yeah, that's pretty clear. Right. Sure.
It's not stuck in the middle of his back. It's stuck more in the upper right-hand portion, like someone who was trying to aim missed or something.
Sure. I tear the top half of my jacket to make an improvised bandage, because I didn't bring my bag with me, and put a compress before to partially seal the knife before removing it and starting to sew it up. And we'll see how this works. I'm engaging with the event, I believe.
Yes, you are.
Using my doctoring skills.
All right.
That is a 7 on the dice.
Partial success.
What's the range for partial success?
Partial success.
Yeah,
either you 3/4 acid, and it doesn't quite work the way you want to, or it works completely the way you want to. But there's a catch, and that catch is either you take 1 damage personally, or whatever you used, whatever trait you used, whatever touchstone is attached to gains 2 momentum. Or the other players can decide if there are narrative consequences sufficient to, merit the crime, as it were.
Sure. So I will gain 2 momentum on my old carpet bag.
Okay. And
but I'm able to sew Charlie up.
Yes, you do. You successfully sew Charlie up. He moans a little bit just as you're finishing. It's actually quite handy that he'd been passed out, because otherwise he would probably have not enjoyed the experience of being sewn up in the slightest. Nope. It's not pleasant. And he twitches as soon as you finish, and especially because you got your hands on him and there's thread still moving, like you haven't quite finished the last stitch.
Hold still, damn it.
What are you doing?
I'm just sewing you. Someone stuck a knife in you.
Why would I do that? I ain't done nothing to nobody.
I don't know. They didn't want to be seen either. I'm guessing. I don't know. Can you think of why anyone might wish harm of you?
I never did nothing to nobody. I just do the messages. That's all I do.
Maybe they want to stop the messages.
Why would anybody want to stop the messages? That's how we don't crash into trains and such. The telegraph. That's they don't do separate rails for trains that are going each way. We got to stop and wait, or the other trains got to stop and wait while we go by, and then they get on our line. If the telegraph goes down, we crash. Probably.
Maybe somebody wants us to crash. If so, they're still on the train, though.
Oh, well, that's such a delight to think about. I don't suppose you can tell the conductor. He knows what to do.
Sure. But I'll fade for now, and I'll come back later.
All right, and we fade out on the scene of Charlie still slumped over his desk going, oh, as you put the pressure bandage on and tie it tight enough that the stitches stay together and stops bleeding. All right, that is the end of the round. The train is still traveling across the wide and formless desert, and everyone chose to engage the event. The event is currently a Danger 1 event. And anyone can go now, because it's a new round. So whoever wants to go first can, or I can start rolling dice to see randomly. That's not good. Probably want to dig for caltrops. There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, actually, the Clockwork Ghost would like to go share a meal with someone, since she is completely unaware of any danger going on, potentially on the train. She's like, oh, it's lunchtime.
All right.
But I don't know if sharing a meal requires another character or an NPC.
It can be done either way. It's most beneficial to share it with another NPC because you both get a keepsake from the meal if you do. But if nobody wants to share a meal with you, you can share a meal with an NPC. That's fine.
Is there anyone you particularly want to share a meal with?
I mean, is the Hour of Devastation still hanging out in the dining car?
I'm back in the dining car, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ignore chat for a few minutes because Vampiric Yoda is being weird. Oh, he's still. Never mind.
They're fighting about +1s. Hey, chat. If you have a particular accent you want to hear me do, redeeming the NPC thing with the chat points with a request for a stupid accent instead will get you that accent on the next NPC I have to do. So
cool. Woot! I knew I forgot to do something before stream, which was change all the channel point game. Okay. So yeah, so she probably just go to the dining car, and if the Hour of Devastation is still there, she'll probably just sit next to him.
Alrighty. This is a scene between you two. Have at it.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
You don't have to it's not just dialogue. You can also describe, sitting next to each other, what you order. If you sit down at a booth, a waiter will come and take your order. If you sit at the bar, the bartender will take your order.
Mm-hmm. Is he sitting at the bar or the booth? Okay.
He's sitting at the bar with a couple of napkins and is working out something with a pen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the machine message.
The code.
Mm-hmm. I figured out a bit more of it.
I'll
have the roast beef.
The bartender stops polishing his glass, nods to you, and starts and writes it down.
I'll just write something down and hand it to him.
All right, he takes that too, and he looks at it, and he nods to you, and he nods to the Clockwork Ghost, and he steps behind the screen, behind the bar. You can hear clanking of dishes and stuff, kind of little talking behind there, and that's where the smells of food are coming from.
Yes, I got, to begin in the place that is perfect. It's really familiar. I don't know if it's the language that's familiar or the message that's familiar. I think the language.
Well, it's Morse code, if I remember correctly. Not something I studied a lot.
Well, it's also just machines talking to us. And she's still, I think at this point, absent-mindedly twisting that weird gear ring on her finger.
Machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Machinery has a lot to talk about, at least while it's in motion.
Everything has something to say when it's in motion.
Mm-hmm.
The bartender comes out from behind the screen and gives you each the 5-minute sign.
Oh, that we're only supposed to be here 5 minutes, or...
No, that'll be 5 minutes until your food's ready.
Oh, okay. Like, I'm brain fog girl. I wonder if the place that is perfect is Cerebos?
Unlikely. Of the many appellations Cerebos has, perfect is not one of them.
Well, someone in Cerebos might think it's perfect.
They would probably be wrong.
Lots of people are wrong, though.
Well, that's not untrue. So why are you heading to Cerebos?
I don't remember.
That happens a lot with trains.
Do you remember? Or do you know?
I know I'm going this time.
Okay.
The bartender disappears behind the screen again and comes out. In one hand, he's holding a plate of roast beef with yellow mashed potatoes and sprightly green peas. He sits that down in front of the Clockwork Ghost. In his other hand, he holds... Do you particularly care? Do you want me to mix something up?
Oh, you can make something up. That's fine.
Right.
He hits you with fish.
In his other hand, he holds a rather large platter. It appears to be a baked fish, whole almost. The head is still on. It's one of the very fancy ones. It's laid on a bed of whatever the leafy green is they make beds out of. Might be lettuce.
Lettuce.
Might be
Lettuce is in the chat. There's lettuce. Congrats, there's lettuce. You made it into the game. There's lettuce.
A bed of the kind of limp green lettuce and stuff, and it's garnished with lemon and butter. And he places it in front of you with the fish fork and the fancy knife that you use for the fancy fish and stuff.
There's lettuce. I'm canon now. Yep, you're canon. Woohoo!
You are canon.
So you each have your food.
Do I have money to tip the server, or would I have to have declared that as a touchstone?
No.
Okay. Then I give him a nice tip.
I will too.
The bartender tips his hat and goes back to cleaning glasses with the same rag he was using last time.
This fish was probably caught yesterday in the sea over there.
The sea behind us or ahead of us?
The sea parallel to us. We're traveling on the coast.
When you look out the window, there is an endless desert on either side.
Funny looking coast.
Wasn't always that way. You'd be surprised.
You must have said to begin in the place that is perfect. Maybe the place where we got on the train was perfect? But then why would we leave?
That would make it less than perfect.
Maybe we were wrong.
Oh, I know I'm wrong. I imagine it's one of the stops along the route. I would imagine that as we decode more of the message, it will become more clear.
And GM, to reiterate, I only have the parts that I was able to decipher, not the parts that the general was able to hear, because I didn't meet the general.
Correct. So, if your meal is concluded, all right. So each of you will gain a keepsake. In this case, it's Miss Crystal. You will gain the keepsake of the wonderful, the feeling of buttery mashed potatoes melting in your mouth because they are just the perfect consistency, with just the right amount of salt. And Zardoz will gain the keepsake of the crisp taste of lemon that you put on the fish before you ate it. Keepsakes are not touchstones. They are more ephemeral. In this particular case, this keepsakes give you specific things. This keepsake will provide a one-time reroll of a 1 or a 2 when making a trait check.
Okay.
So, and then once you use the keepsake, it's gone. Because keepsakes are not... keepsakes can be physical, and you may keep a small, whatever keepsake item you have, but it won't be a touchstone, and it's not, it's designed to help you move forward. It's not there to anchor you, like your touchstones are. It's things you gained along the way.
The journey, not the destination or the forgotten origin.
Yes, exactly. So, Chris is gone. I believe sharing a meal does not count as Zardoz's action. Yeah.
Oh, then I will spend a little bit of time here engaging with the event and try and think my way through more of the code.
Okay. So, the paper that Charlie handed you had several symbols on it. As you're looking at the symbols, you kind of notice how they sort of almost resemble the sounds the train makes. Like there's a particular curve on the paper that sounds like when a train rocks on the tracks. The sound the wheels make as when the train rocks over something.
Okay.
And that sort of thing. So, are you going to continue doing this with a clockwork ghost at present, or are you going to try and move off, or are you just going to doodle?
Oh, no, I'll do it with a clockwork ghost sitting here.
Okay. So you finished your meal, and can I describe how you're going to continue on?
Oh, I pull out a photograph that is all black. And I think about that for a minute, and it reminds me that of a past that I'm not really willing to share at this point. But it's a connection to sound and motion and energy. And I'm trying to use that to remind myself of what this sound is, where it is, what it means, why it's this way, while I try and channel into my inner knowledges and resources for what exactly is going on here.
Alrighty, roll your trait.
10.
All right, you succeed straight up. Nothing bad happens. So let me pull this thing up. So this particular one, go back to there. Number 3, number 4. Okay. So, all right. Cities. inspiration. All right. So, as you're listening to this, you get into the rhythm of it. Like you are reminded of the motion and energy and the symbols that Charlie provided you, especially as you listen to the message, you rocking and rolling along these rails. It's not quite Morse code that you thought it was at first. It's the language of motion, and the movement is as much part of the of the message as the noises themselves are. So as you listen, you start translating more, and you finally figure it comes out. You know, you're in the zone and you're writing, and then you finally get it out. To begin, in the place that is perfect, the home of the Prosperity Guild. The city of Maud is a place well known and well regarded. To start there is to have an adventure beyond all reckoning. And so that resolves the event because it lowers the danger to 0. And the keepsake that you get is this rattled out tale of the road ahead that allows a one-time reroll on the Atlas. So, what you get is a story of a city called Maud, M-A-U-D. A good place full of happy citizens, the Prosperity Guild, and noodle houses for some reason. Those are especially important in the message. But it tells you of the train stop in Maud.
Just Maud along the way of where we're going.
It could be.
Okay.
It just depends on what you roll in the Atlas.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to ask, because I'm curious, how does it interact with every port in a storm?
All right. Every port in a storm is the conductor power.
Yep.
It does not, because using a conductor power is not the... Well, actually, it does. If you used the keepsake during every port in a storm, you could re-roll both rolls on the Atlas.
That's a ruling. Okay.
I will share the completed message with the Clockwork Ghost.
And how does it go again? To begin in the place of that is perfect, the home of the Prosperity Guild, the city of Maud?
Yeah, the city of Maud. A city well regarded by all who enter and leave it. It is famous for its noodle houses and its Masons Guild. And the train stopped here to refuel, and much entertainment was had by all. But only Zardoz gets the reroll on the Atlas table. But as soon as you hear it, as soon as he tells the Clockwork Ghost what it says, she can hear it too. The noises, they don't become not noises, but in your head something clicks and like, oh yeah, this is what this rockin' rhythm is saying here on the train. These wheels conduct this message, and the message itself isn't familiar, but now that you're listening to the rhythm of the train, that very much is.
Interesting.
All right. So, engaging an event is no longer an available train action because there is no event currently ongoing. I mean, the message is still being sent, but it has been decoded. And if you wish to know more of what it says, you can ask the people who have decoded it. But the danger has reached 0, and the event is resolved. So your choices are now...
So it was just a message about where the train's going to stop and refuel between here and Cerebos.
Well, the train could stop to refuel.
Or the train has stopped to refuel. So, your choices now for train actions are stop the train. If you choose to stop the train, you will roll in the Atlas table, or at least you roll and you'll tell me where on that, and I'll tell you what on the Atlas table you got. You can provoke a flashback in somebody else. You can experience a shared flashback with somebody. You can release a touchstone. You can share a meal if you haven't already. Or use a conductor power.
So where is the general?
I was thinking the general was probably going to leave her cabin, and you know how people will walk to the outside of the train, so they're like between trains for a smoke. I think the general's probably between trains with the glass of champagne in one hand and a cigar in the other.
It's windy. The desert is endless on either side.
Sure. The event having resolved, I will talk briefly to the conductor, probably not get much in terms of who could have attacked somebody, and head out for a smoke myself.
Someone really didn't want us getting noodles.
Yeah, really.
Anti-carb conspiracy.
You had to make sure the message was interpreted correctly, or it can't get out.
Okay.
It could be there was another message in the message. I seem to remember there was some history we had. General.
I think you have me at a disadvantage. What history was that? Are you provoking a flashback?
I'm actually attempting to provoke a shared flashback.
Experience a shared flashback. Okay.
Okay. The break alarm just went off, but we can finish this round and then take our break.
Okay.
Okay.
How does that work?
So,
yep.
Experience a shared flashback. You and another character experience a shared flashback. You select one of their touchstones with a single trait. They select one of yours. Both of you unlock a new trait on the touchstone at the end of the flashback. So a flashback is, it's a scene set in the city by the sea before you left. Whichever touchstone you chose for each person is the center of this flashback. So in this case, whatever you choose for her and whatever you choose for you, Josh, would be the center piece of this flashback. So the point of the flashback is try and discover your past.
Yep.
And try and work towards your secret goal to know more about yourself. The first flash hints at a traveler's ultimate goal. By the time the third flash comes around, the traveler learns exactly who they were before they left the city by the sea. So, shared flashbacks work best when they start as a conversation. Negotiate the details of the scene based on what you as players know about each other's characters. After the flashback is over, participants remember more about their past and establish forgotten traits.
So you need to know what my touchstones are?
We should probably do so in theory what we're supposed to do is have a conversation in which we effectively negotiate what kind of flashback we're going to have and what kind of shared experience we have.
Help, given that they center to a degree on our touchstones.
Sure.
So I've got the military jacket covered with medals, the sword, and the book in a code nobody can read. And yours are?
Quite a lot of money, an old carpet bag, and a beautiful pen.
Okay. I kind of go for the beautiful pen for yours and for mine.
What were the three again?
The military jacket covered with medals, the sword, and the book.
Let's go with military jacket.
Okay. So you were reminding me about where we last met or first met, perhaps.
And so the beautiful pen is connected to my memories of lost loves. So it may be that you were at one point either close to me, or for that matter, simply close to someone that I was close to, like a child or a spouse.
Could be. Would this have been somebody who might have been also in the army?
Oh, it could easily have been. And I've been a doctor in many places, after all.
Did you work for my unit, perhaps?
I might have indeed. Well, perhaps I had an affair with your commandant.
That's certainly possible.
Ow.
That was a thing that should have happened or not. If I wasn't supposed to see it, I, of course, never saw it.
Oh, possibly, although I was obviously not under your chain of command. Still, we might have argued about it. Or perhaps not.
As you said, you were never in my chain of command.
Sure. You remember when Kara got wounded? It was a bad time.
It was? But that's what happens in war. So
That's why I don't like war.
Nobody likes war.
No, but it stays with you after.
Well, yes. It reminds you why nobody likes war.
Still. It simplifies things in some ways, but
Only if you do it wrong.
it takes things from you. Like Kara, for instance.
Yes.
So this, as you're having this conversation, the audience's view shifts. You two are no longer standing on the rails between two carriages of the train, smoking the General a cigar and Lady Doctor a cigarette. Instead, you are standing in a well-appointed room. The shelves are deep mahogany and contain both a collection of books and a small collection of exotic objects. Masks from far away, little bookends carved out of sardonyx, and, other things of this nature. A large desk dominates the room, and the general stands behind it. In front of her are scattered several reports, letters, dispatches from the front, things of this nature. On one side of the desk is a picture. The audience cannot see what the picture is because the light is reflecting off the glass. There's an inkwell with an eagle feather quill, another one with a pheasant feather quill, one of the big fancy ones. In front of the desk stands the Lady Doctor, holding a letter and looking rather white-faced. Welcome to the flashback. Because it's not just a conversation. It starts with a conversation, and then we see the scene. To recap, the touchstones you chose were the silver pen and the book?
Yep.
Okay. So the book is on your
Was
desk.
it the book or the military jacket?
No, the coat.
Oh, the
jacket.
coat. It's
The coat, okay. You're wearing the coat. It has fewer medals on it now than it does on the train. And you have a letter clenched in one hand, and in the same hand is kind of, you got the pen pressed up against the letter, and you're holding it in one hand, like this.
Sure. I have this letter from
Kara.
from High Brass. They say I'm assigned to your unit. I know you're
My
not
unit.
to your unit. I hope you don't have a problem with this.
Show me the letter.
Hand it over.
This appears to be an order.
I'm told you're a hard woman to work for. Doesn't bother me.
Like to think my orders tend to be clear.
Yes, but you won't be giving me any orders, will you?
Well, your medical chain of command.
Exactly. I really hope you won't be giving me too much work. Not because I don't mind working, you understand.
You seem to have remarkable faith in my ability to control the flow of battle. I'm flattered.
A general makes choices like a doctor does.
Yes, those choices, as a doctor's choice, is based on the body of the whole.
And all these choices result in deciding who lives and who dies.
Yes. That is the nature of war, and I suppose you're trying to say the nature of medical work as well.
In a hard situation like a war? Always. Therefore, yes, we are responsible for our choices. And yes, that means that your choices are going to determine, to some degree, whether I have quite a great number of patients, some of which you don't survive, or somewhat fewer. And yes, I will hold you responsible. But I think you already knew that, didn't you?
I already knew there was a war on. Yes.
Faded there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. As the general shifts and straightens some dispatches, the camera pulls out and away from the scene, fading back into darkness. And as the camera keeps pulling, we fade back and we keep pulling until we see the general and the late doctor once again standing on the train, chosen tobacco products in hand, smoking. And you both nod to each other like you remembered something that you didn't perhaps know before, or perhaps you didn't remember that you remembered. So, each flashback unlocks a new trait on the touchstone if it doesn't have to already. You each decide narratively. We each suggest narratively what trait was unlocked, and then we vote to see which one it actually is. That trait starts with, I believe, the new trait starts at rank 2, and then the player gains 2 points to distribute between the touchstone's traits, so you could make it a rank 4 trait, or you can make your other one rank 3. It's up to you how to divide those points.
So, what trait does the pen already have?
The pen already has memories of old loves.
Okay.
So I would suggest that the pen has new trait. What's it? It's stubborn accountability, I think.
Works for me.
Works for me. I had something else in mind, but that works just fine.
If anybody else has any suggestions.
I was suggesting Courage Forged Under Fire because we were playing at a scene, but I think...
Oh, yours. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm happy with either of those, honestly.
So vote Stubborn Accountability or Courage Forged Under Fire. Any particular opinions?
I think Stubborn Accountability works well for that scene.
It is what we saw in the scene, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Good by me. Lisa?
Military jacket covered with medals, is associated with mind like a steel trap.
I would suggest as a new trait for that the not
Professional empathy.
I was gonna say the grim accounting of war, or the price. The people war forgot.
How about a strong sense of leadership?
A strong sense of responsibility.
Huh.
I think that was the line that stuck out for me. Was like, you have a great faith in my ability to control the tide of war. Like, awesome.
I'm gonna put in a deep sense of responsibility, and then I guess the other choice would be a strong sense of leadership. Anybody? Any other suggestions?
No, I think the empathy fades into the responsibility.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, responsibility is then. All right, those traits are rank 2, and then you have 2 more trait ranks that you can add to either. You can add to either a trait on your touchstone, or you can split them up to use one for each. However you want to do it, it's up to you. These are your touchstones.
Yep.
But because we had two flashbacks, even though it was 2 people. We roll again on the event table.
Okay, is that this still the same round?
Yes. Well, technically that would be the end of the round because a shared flashback is both persons' action.
Oh, is it?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you wanna do the rolling now and have a cliffhanger for break, or?
Sounds good to me, unless you guys have
All right.
reason. All right. So
You're the GM.
no, sorry, we just had that one. Try again. There we go.
More messages, more noodles.
No, more messages is actually pretty great.
All right, so
Instead of noodles.
all right. The arch straddles the tracks, so black it must be made of pure jet. Runes are etched onto the arch's surface, sentences worn away by wind, rain, and the occasional rune eater. They flare to life as the train passes into a world with rusted skies. Perhaps it was the doing of one of the strange, shapeless inhabitants who are so chatty with their telepathy. Regardless, it is probably best to find the way home, as the freckle-marked constellations reflecting off oily pools are not the stars you know. It's also the matter of the train becoming less train-shaped with each passing minute.
Yeah, that's suitably ominous.
So this is something that happens, and then we have to deal with the consequences. Okay.
Finding your way, you gotta find your way back. If you don't find your way back to the desert, you'll never get to Cerebos.
So as our smoking friends are finishing their tobacco products, oh, what's that? Vroom! What?
Suddenly, they're in a world with rusted red skies. Black, oily pools line the sides of the tracks of the train. Strange shapes that are not really shapes of any given size and consistency. You can't describe them because they change so often from one moment to the next. Rise up out of the pools and look at you with eyes that aren't eyes, and they say, "Hello."
And with that chat, we're gonna go take our 10-minute break. Whoops. But we will be back in 10 minutes, so stick around. We are just doing a quick leg stretch. In 10 minutes, we'll be back. See you in a few. And
Hi guys, we're back, and we're not dead.
And the mics still work. Yay!
Not dead.
Always good.
Not dead and audible. Yay! Thank you for sticking with us, chat. I still haven't figured out how to do a clock countdown on Twitch.
Not even undead, except possibly Chrysilla.
I'm a little bit undead because I got Pfizered on Wednesday. I don't know where I am. But I know I have antibodies. So that's like being on the mind blank train.
So the next shot gives you the uncle bodies?
More puns! Anyway. This is a safe place for puns.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, when we left off, the train had just gone through a black stone arch inscribed with strange and in some cases unreadable runes, and is now not traveling through the desert, is now traveling through a rather strange landscape with a rust-red sky, black, so black it's almost blue stone, and deep pools of oil all around the tracks. Somehow the tracks themselves are still, your plain steel tracks with wooden ties on a gravel bed. And we had just finished a round, so it's now the top of the round, and anyone may go. What?
I'm looking at the actions.
Yep.
The area you're in is an event, so the engage event action is available. You can also provoke a flashback in others, share a flashback with somebody. You can release a touchstone if you feel that you have learned enough to let it go, learn enough about yourself and about the touchstone to let it go. You can share a meal unless you already shared a meal with somebody. If you've already shared a meal with somebody, you have the shared meal. You have a keepsake from that meal. If you have that keepsake, you can't share a meal with somebody again. You can only have one shared meal keepsake at a time. You can use a conductor power, or you can engage the event because it's present.
And the conductor power is the naturalist pen. You can sketch a map or detail from the stop in your journal.
That is only if you are at a stop.
We're not at a stop yet?
We're not at a stop. No, you went through a junction, and that's the event.
Conductor powers are available.
You have every port in a storm. So every port in a storm is the stop train action, except you can roll twice in the atlas. Or easy confidence. Share a story related to a fellow passenger or a previous stop with a traveler. The next time you team up with this traveler, make a trait check. Receive a +1 bonus to your trait check.
Right. And the traveler that you get a +1 bonus when you're working with is the one that you're sharing with, not the one you're sharing about. That makes sense.
Correct. Yes. It need not be a PC. It can be an NPC.
Oh, you can also share with an NPC.
Yes.
You get a +1 when you're working with them. That makes sense.
Or the conductor. Yeah. Who is technically an NPC. It's a gray area. So. Oh.
Okay. That's
yeah,
the sound
that
of
can.
The train.
Sure.
I mean, also it's worrying a little bit that the train, as it travels through this strange landscape, it's not looking as much like the train you got onto the station onto at the station the further along it goes.
Yes, that's troublesome.
So we're still smoking outside the train. And while we're sort of sitting there and we're finishing up, I pull out my silver pen and look at it and make a motion to potentially toss it off the train.
So you're going to try and release your touchstone?
I am trying to release a touchstone.
Okay. So give us a little more exposition about your feelings about the pen, what you've learned from it, what you gained from it, and why you're letting it go now as opposed to other places.
So this is the pen that I wrote every report, every letter during the war. And it holds all of my memories, all that pain, all that sadness. It is the pen that I wrote home to my family and my siblings, none of which now survive. By holding on to it, I remember them and I remember what I've lost. But I'm not sure I need to hold on to that pain anymore.
Okay.
Maybe time to let it go.
I mean, the middle of a strange landscape as the train warps around you, not, as it goes along, is definitely a place you will never see that pen again if you let it go.
Yeah, if I let it go.
So, you can go ahead and roll 2d6. You are now trying to roll low.
11, it turns out, is not low.
The path is prepared, but you are not ready. The touchstone gains 1 momentum and is not lost.
Yep.
You can take 1 damage to reroll 1 die as long as another traveler steps in to help. This action doesn't need to be an act of kindness as long as you're conflicted about giving up the item. Wrestling over a cursed amulet is fair game. So,
however, with a 5 and a 6, the chance of me succeeding, even if the general were to help, would not be super high. So I think I will take that as momentum.
Fair enough. The pen is, as you go to throw the pen over the what started as a railing, it now looks maybe a little bit like either a vine or a tentacle, you're not sure, but the landscape beyond is definitely not the desert. But as you go to throw the pen, it catches the light and you are reminded of the weight of the lives carried in that pen. Every condolence letter you had to write home to a soldier who'd never go back, every report you signed dead on arrival, every letter you wrote home telling your family how well you were doing so they wouldn't worry about you. You just can't let it go.
Nope.
And you put it back inside the inner pocket. All right. So that was 1 action.
I'm going to try to engage with the event. I take out the book where I've written various observations, not necessarily related to the war, about the lands I've traveled through, the people I've seen, and try and figure out if I can get any sense of where we are and how the train might get back.
Is this the book that nobody can read?
Yep.
Okay. All right, roll your trait.
I rolled a 7. Question: given that I used touchstones both times, do I add momentum to them?
Only if you flub the roll. So if you got a 7 or if you got an 8 or less, you can choose to add momentum or you can take a damage personally. If you want to use 1 point from a trait on there, you can lower a trait's rank by 1 and re-roll a die. I think it's 1 die, not both.
So, like, I could lower fond memories to 0 and re-roll?
Yes.
Okay, let's try that, see how that works. And I'm wanting to roll high, so I re-roll the 2.
Yes.
And I did even worse. 6.
Well, you keep the highest. You still have the trait, even though it no longer has ranks. You just can't use it to re-roll dice anymore.
Right.
So, did you add the other trait to your book?
The other traits were not added to the book; they were added to the jacket.
Oh, right. Okay, never mind then. All right. Yeah. So your choices are take 1 damage personally, or add 2 momentum to the book, or the other players can choose a narrative punishment for you for not rolling a full success.
Any of those would make sense, really. Like, it could be anything from I'm trying to jump back to avoid the tentacles that the train seems to be made of and injure myself.
It's your choice. Just let us know which one.
I'm going to go with an injury because I want to see how that works.
Okay. You take 1 damage. So, like you said, you pull out the book and start looking through it, and you don't find any references to a place like this because this place seems to be pretty alien, but you do come across stories you've heard in your travels of people who have gotten stuck places that were kind of like this and how they'd gotten back. Most of them appeared to have either retraced their steps or found another door like the one they'd come through and walked through that. You reduce the stop state. You reduce the event's danger by 1. It is now a 3 danger event, and you take 1 damage when the railing you'd been leaning against suddenly moves under your grasp, and you jump back, colliding with the lady doctor, who stumbles back into the door that leads into the rail car, and you end up falling and accidentally hitting your head on the door frame.
Okay. Do I record that on my sheet anywhere? Oh, yeah, I do. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Question, GM.
Mhm.
Is the train transforming into just a different looking train, or is stuff getting weird?
The train is becoming less train-shaped with each passing minute, but it's still moving forward. You still hear the sounds of that mechanical language that you said somehow so familiar to you.
So, I'd like to take a next action, if everyone's okay with that.
Yep.
Because, I have with me a perfume bottle, and the associated trait is always maintain appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some way I can use that to turn the train back into a train? Or at least help it maintain its trainness? At least until we can like, we're still on a track, like, presumably there's another gate we can go through, so if we could just hold it together.
All right, tell us how you do that.
I think she sees the change, and would assume, like, that roast beef must have been a little off, except that she hears the train going, like, oh bleep, oh bleep, ow, bleep,
the message that you were listening to, the one about Maud, has changed. It is no longer telling you about Maud. It is now telling you about the place that you're in, the kind of the shapeless telepaths outside who are being weird, and the strangeness of the rails underneath it, and the sounds themselves are they're still mechanical. They're still there. They're just kind of changing pitch and tenor, like either the wheels are changing shape, or the materials that they're working through or with are changing, something like that.
So I think what she's going to do is, I guess go to the engine room with her perfume bottle And whoever's in there is like, what the hell is this lady doing? And she's like, no, it's all right. I know what I'm doing. I talk to the machines. And it just takes her little perfume bottle and starts squeezing, spritzing it into the engine as if it were oil or some kind of lubricant. And she's basically at the same time telling the machine, like, now, I need you to hold it together. You are what you pretend to be, so as long as you can pretend to be the train you were, you can hold it together until we can get out of this strange telepath sludge pool land. So can you just hold it together for me?
Are you saying this in English, or are you saying this in machine?
Probably she's saying it in machine. So
Okay.
Speaking Gartham.
As you travel through the first class carriages, you are treated the same treatment that the Hour of Devastation got. They're clearly, they know you're not a first class passenger. And you pass through the mail car with its telegraph at the front. Charlie, who's sitting there, there's still blood on the floor. No one's cleaned it up, but it's kind of dried now. And as long as you step around it, it's not sticky. But you do have to step around it.
Okay.
And Charlie just gives you the and he's not going to stop you. Weird shit's clearly going on. His telegraph machine is silent, which is unusual for a telegraph machine. Normally they're receiving messages at all times, even, one's not really meant for them. And you pass through, and the car ahead of it, you have to kind of edge around because it's the coal car. It's not really designed to be accessible from the passenger compartments, but there's a little walkway around for the conductor. So you walk around. The railing is once again becoming those not tentacles and not vines, but certainly not railing that the general is seeing. And you walk up and you get to the engine, and the engineers are there. The senior engineer is standing there. He's looking ahead and kind of around, and he's got his hand on the train whistle, pull chain, and the other hand on the emergency brake. And he's keeping his eyes on dials that are currently going wee 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 wee, and all this kind of stuff. And and there's a junior engineer who's shoveling coal into the furnace that looks more and more like a mouth as the time goes by. So you start, the chief engineer gives you a look like, excuse me, miss, but, you're not supposed to be up here.
Well, we're not supposed to be out here, so let's see what I can do to help.
Hi, miss, well, she can't, she can't out, honey, can she? Says the junior engineer. I mean, it's not like we're doing any better here. So the chief engineer shrugs and, kind of nods, but he keeps his hand on the whistle and on the brake.
Hear me, baby? Hold together. That's basically what she's giving the engine a pep talk as the brain, as the central nervous processing unit of the train, and going, I just need you to be a train for a little while longer until we can get out of here.
Roll your trait.
We roll a lot of 7s in this game.
I mean, statistically speaking, it's the most likely for a pair of D6,
Weirdly, in this game, a 6 and a 1 is really different than a 3 and a 4.
So I can spend the one trait of always maintain appearances to do a reroll?
Yes. Okay. 1 rank of that trait. The trait remains, and you can use it again in the future, but you can't use it to reroll again until you put points back into it.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, it's reroll 1 die, I think?
Or reroll 1 die.
Oh, reroll 1 die. Okay, so, well, that's easy. One of them was a 6, and the other one was a 1. So I'll reroll the 1. And I roll another 1.
Dice jail.
Dice jail for 1,000 years!
So, partial success. Your choice. Take 1 damage. Put 2 momentum on the object you used, or the other group comes up with a narrative punishment for you.
I think I'm good with taking a damage.
All right. You
Because,
put your fingers.
yeah. Because
you
I'm
put
in
your
the engine room and I am not dressed for it, and something's gonna happen, and it's transforming and something's gonna happen.
Yeah, you put your fingers somewhere and they get pinched by moving machinery and stuff. Like, you didn't break a finger, but you're definitely gonna have bruises there for a while.
Okay. But do I achieve my goal of hear me, baby, hold together?
Yes. You reduce the danger of this event by 1. It's now a 2-danger event.
Awesome.
That is what the full success means. If you just half-assed it, you wouldn't have reduced the danger any. Because that's the other option. If you roll a partial, you can just half-ass it, and you don't get and you don't get big.
I succeeded in doing the thing, but not achieving the outcome.
Exactly.
Okay.
So as you do this, the train doesn't look more like a train, but it stops looking less like a train.
Okay.
I mean, the dials are still telling you nothing useful, and that's definitely a mouth the young engineer is shoveling coal into. But it stopped. The tentacles and stuff have stopped writhing.
I got an ouchie. Well, that's fine. This I could deal with.
And like that. So, the General and the Hour of Devastation.
Oh, the General already went.
Yeah, I already went.
Oh, right, you already went. Sorry. It's just the Hour of Devastation now, I think. Yeah.
Did the Lady Doctor go?
The Lady Doctor tried to get rid of a touchdown but failed.
Oh.
I will engage with the event.
Okay.
I will drink scotch, pull out my pocket watch that doesn't spin, that doesn't move, and I will attempt to use the associated trait with that to accelerate us through this and get us to where we're supposed to be. Back on the road.
So you're in the bar, and you take out, the bartender's cleaning a glass. It's the same glass he's been cleaning for the last, ever since he brought you food, with the same rag. And you take a sip of your scotch, and you You finish the scotch in 1 draught. He kind of side-eyes you a little bit because that was some pretty good scotch.
Yeah.
And probably didn't deserve the treatment you just gave it.
Don't worry. You won't notice if I did that in a minute.
And so you pull out this watch and you take a look at it. Roll your trait. That sounded dangerous.
11.
Resounding success. For a 9 and a 10, you get a success. It's straight up. But for an 11 or 12, you get a resounding success. You have something in the way that you accomplish this reminds you of your past life, strengthening the ties between who you were and who you are. The danger decreases by 2, which eliminates this event, actually.
Sweet.
So, please narrate for us how this happens.
The watch starts spinning by itself. The mechanisms aren't turning, but the watch itself is actually spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And the train starts moving faster, and anybody who's up near the engine is watching this. The gauges are going completely haywire. Everything's going nuts. The landscape is speeding by at a speed that's not normal for anything that looks like this. And then we're back in the real world.
Well, you accelerate super fast. Dials are spinning, your watch is spinning, and you see another arch.
Yeah.
Jet black, no ruins on this side. But you go through it, and suddenly you're back in the desert.
Yeah.
This.
Then I will set that glass back on the thing, and the scotch is sitting right there where I left it, unconsumed.
Fair. So, anyone who engaged with the event, I'm just going to determine randomly who gets it. So we'll go Clockwork 1, Devastation 2, General 3. If I roll a 4, I'll just roll again. So the General gets the keepsake for this event. it was determined randomly. A persistent dream of the traveler's new life on the oily shores, worth a one-time reroll of any die when making a trait check or releasing a touchstone.
That's
So that's a keepsake. You put that in your keepsake boxes.
persistent dream of
A new life on the oily shores.
a new life on the oily
Wait, so who gets that?
shores. I do.
You do.
General. Because she engaged with the event, and then I roll a die.
Got it.
Good
1, 2,
for
3. So
one reroll on what?
of any die on a trait check or a touchstone release.
Or a touchstone release. Okay, got it.
Zardoz, because you got an inspiring success, you get the inspiring success reminds you of your past that you had forgotten, or perhaps you had tried to deliberately not remember. And you remember the landscape traveling by you almost as fast, very quickly, but there's something hot on your heels. Something is chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that event has been eliminated. You are now back in the vast and trackless desert with the empty blue sky, and you are back on the tracks. The train looks like a train again. The young engineer is no longer shoveling coal into an open mouth. The rails are just rails. Kind of, they're brass, a little worn, could do with a polish. The ones outside are kind of dusty. And we are in a new round of train actions. Whoever wants to go first can go first.
Don't we roll for an event?
No, an event. Events are triggered by two people having a flashback. So
Okay.
it's one flashback shared or two flashbacks for single people. Yeah.
Question. When it comes to, if I were to take the stop action of rest, what would that do? Would that stop the train?
We'd have to.
You'd have to take the stop train action, and then if you took the stop train action, you'd basically pull the bell, say stop, like you would on a bus, like please stop here. Everyone else would get one more. Whoever hadn't gone yet would get one more train action, and then you'd roll into a stop.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, for the adventure, for Peter Dinklage, one of his special abilities is that you can use his any port in a storm action in place of the stop action to roll twice on the Atlas table and take whichever one you want. So.
But somebody gets damage.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
Okay. Never mind. I don't do that.
Yeah. Someone randomly gets damage, but yeah. One thing you should be aware of is that damage isn't just physical. It might be emotional. It might be, trauma that you gain on the way. But if you have 4 damage by the time we hit the second leg, you will never find peace in Cerebos. You cannot get off at the Crystal City. Your spirit is not ready.
Is there a way to undo damage you've already taken, or never?
No, I don't believe there's a way to undo damage.
Ooh.
Not currently, anyway.
So especially with adventure, taking a bunch of damage is very dangerous. Because random damage could come your way.
It happens.
Yep. So, I believe that we're still at the top of the round.
And provoke a flashback is provoking it for someone else, not yourself.
Yes.
Right. But experience a shared flashback is with somebody else and also yourself.
Yes. And it consumes both your actions, and it will also trigger an event.
I'm sorry, my neighbors just got really loud the last little while.
It's all good.
Near NYC problems.
I'm going to try and let go of one of my touchstones.
Okay. Which touchstone?
The pocket watch.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to the Clockwork Ghost.
The Clockwork Ghost, you have to go up and find her. She is in the engine room.
I'm going to go looking for the Clockwork Ghost.
Okay. Okay. Describe to us why you feel like this touchstone is one you can let go. What have you learned about yourself, about the touchstone, about your past, and what you're going to do in the future?
Well, the pocket watch isn't. It's really just a reminder that time is an illusion. That time is meaningless without it, and I don't need the pocket watch anymore to do that. And it stopped, which means that somebody who is so in tune with machines will probably find a way to make it work and find more beneficial use out of it than I can. So it seems like a good time to pass along to someone who's more capable of making use of it.
Okay. So you're going to head towards the engine room then?
Yes.
So you head up. You once again get dirty looks through first class. The twit in the golden coat in the first car stands up and seems like he's about to, lay into you, but you kind of walk on past, ignore him, and you hear him splutter angrily behind you, like he's not used to being ignored. He's very important. You don't ignore him. Especially when it seems like he wants to talk to you. His word is law. It's very important. You walk up, but you just keep walking. And you walk up and you walk past Charlie, who is now sporting a new bandage. Half his shirt is gone. There's blood on the floor, and he seems kind of out of it a little bit.
Charlie, it looks like you had a hell of a party in here.
I don't know what it was. I was just working on that message you left me, and on the code. It's not being transmitted anymore. I don't know if you noticed. The train's all quiet now, but somebody came up and stabbed me. Took my code work.
I would watch the gentleman with the fine handlebar mustache. He seems to not like people who aren't of his social class.
Yeah, but this is
that's us.
It's my area, though. This is supposed to be where I'm supposed to be, and I was paid to be here. I'm one of the hired help. I don't know why he'd stab me, but that pillar could be more likely to fire me, Even though he can't technically, he's not in my chain of command, as it were.
Yeah, some folks.
Folks.
Poor Charlie's having the worst day.
Really?
And then you keep on walking through the front door, and you too find the little walkway around the edge of the coal car. Unlike when the Clockwork Ghost traversed it, it is just a walkway. Yeah. The railings are railings. The coal car is not rubbery to the touch. It's just a metal coal car. And you walk up and you see the senior engineer, who seems to have let go of both the train horn and the emergency brake, and is looking over Miss Clockwork Ghost's something over in Miss Ghost's hand, while the junior engineer is still just shoveling coal.
And I'm just sort of standing there regarding my perfume bottle and go, well, that worked.
Yes, it did. Here. You're a mechanical sort, aren't you?
I believe so, yes.
What do you make of this? Open palm, the stopped pocket watch, sitting in the middle of it.
What does the pocket watch look like?
It's old. It's like at one point it looks like it was heavily embossed. It had something etched into it, but that's worn away with time on both sides.
So it's gold, brass, silver. Silver, tarnished.
Not tarnished, but it's well maintained. But at this point it's worn. It's been worn down by time and energy.
Scuffs and scratches.
No, it's just the etching is blown smooth.
Oh, okay. So it's not a silver you can see your reflection in, because it would still retain. It's not mirror finished, but
no.
Yeah. So you see him hold out this old, very old silver pocket watch. It's obviously seen a lot of use, but it's also been well loved. but it doesn't tick. It doesn't make any of the mechanical noises you're listening for. Roll to release the touchstone.
4?
Yeah, 4 will do it. 4 is... you break the shackles of your past and you do what needs to be done. Give the touchstone to someone who needs it, or rid yourself of it in another way that brings closure. Gain 1 contemplation, remove all momentum from the touchstone, and reduce all attached traits by 1 rank.
Okay.
So, describe the transfer.
I think you can probably make more use of this right now than I can. It's been there for a long time, but I think you can probably do more with it now.
Maybe I could fix that during the journey. She holds her hand out for him to place it in it, because it's uncouth to grab things from people.
The broken hand or the one with the ring on it?
Probably the one with the ring on it, because the other hand is broken. Is a little bit broken.
Bruised up, but yeah.
Okay. Place it gently in the hand.
Okay. Do I get to use my action to examine and fix it, or is that not how this works?
You can definitely examine and fix it. Just tell us how you do it. It doesn't take an action though. Okay. It's not one of the actions you can do. You can certainly narrate it for us though.
All right. I think she looks it over. Does the GM say why it doesn't tick, or do I?
Nope. That's your.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Or Howard, you can ask. But no, I'm not here to determine why it doesn't tick. That's a story function. That's up to you two. Why it doesn't tick. What's broken in there, or if it's broken.
Yeah, I think she just will very carefully just kind of it's not, the back isn't screwed on, it's kind of latched on, so she just sort of puts it on her broken hand because the other one works better, and just kind of gets around it with her fingernails and kind of pops off the back very gently, and just opens it and starts looking around.
No, mechanically it's complete. There's no reason why it shouldn't tick.
There's a reason it shouldn't tick?
There's no reason it shouldn't.
None of the gears are damaged as you look at it. There's nothing stuck in them, no dust or debris. It's a very well-maintained watch. It's clearly been, cleaned and re-oiled and realigned. The springs are all good. The gears are not missing any teeth. It should be ticking, but it's not.
Okay, then she just sort of pops the back on, and she just tries winding it up.
Yeah, it starts.
Oh, okay. Are you sure you don't want this back? Because it seems to work.
No, it's good where it is.
What time does it say?
It keeps a perfect time for wherever it matches the whatever clocks are on the train.
Right. So as you wind it, the face is open, and you see the hands move from where it had been. It had been pointing at about 6:37 for no apparent reason. But as you watch the hands move and traverse the face until it points to about 5:42 in the afternoon. Is it one of those watches that just tells time, or does it also have like a little thing for seconds or the moon phases or whatever the fancy ones you had for some?
Yeah, it's got all of those. It's got it's got a calendar function. It's got the second hand. You could also use it as a stopwatch if you needed to.
Does it have an abacus on the back?
No.
The
watch is this big.
Yeah. The date, it just says 24. For some reason, the month is indecipherable, as is the year. The moon phase is set to 3/4. And as you watch, it ticks. You watch the seconds tick by peacefully until it switches over to 5:43.
Does the watch have anything to say to me?
Oh.
Hello.
The watch sounds very tidy. Each gear fits perfectly in rhythm. Tick, 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 tick. It's not one of those watches that goes tick tock. The gears move. The face plates move. You hear little grindings and scrapings. It mostly seems to be telling you the time. That's really what it wants to tell you. You can't quite make out the month or the year either, even from the noises that it's making. But it tells you the day clear as day, 24.
All right, thank you. This is a very nice. This is a very sweet watch. It ticks but does not talk. Okay. And she just kind of she's got a little traveling jacket, so she probably has put the perfume bottle in one pocket and sort of puts her new little friend in another one. And probably I guess she would. Is there a watch chain on it?
Yes.
So she probably hook that. What is it like? If she has a brooch to hook it onto, or she's probably like the buttonhole on one of like her breast pockets.
Okay.
And that's probably where she puts in her breast pocket. And like, oh, it's so.
As you put it there, the engineer looks over and says, "Well, if that's all, miss, then I'd ask you to please get back to the passenger areas. It's not safe for passengers to be in the engine room, and it's my job if the conductor finds you here."
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to help. Okay, thank you.
He shoos you both.
She allows herself to be shooed.
I am shoot.
Excuse me.
When you get back to the mail room, the telegraph is ticking merrily with messages back and forth.
Oh, good.
All right, so I believe that's your action. I don't think anyone else has gone yet.
Correct.
So
I'm drawing a blank, and the neighbors are so noisy.
So you can either provoke a flashback in somebody else, possibly by asking them about their touchstones. You can share an experience with somebody else by talking about times that you knew each other in the city by the sea. You can, you can't, but you two can share a meal with either each other or an NPC if you so choose. I had the other stuff written down. You can use a conductor power. You can't engage an event because there's no event present. You can try and release a touchstone if you feel like you've learned enough from that touchstone, that you've used it, you've figured out what it meant to you, and you are ready to let it go.
I think I will try
or you can stop
to.
the train.
I don't want to stop the train. I guess then I could provoke a flashback in the hour, since I have his X touchstone. Or can I still do that when it's an X touchstone?
Yes, you can. If you do, then he doesn't get a new trait on it. I don't believe. Let me look at that one. Keepsakes. Stop action stops. And flashbacks. If the touchdown has already been given away, reduce each of the touchdown traits by 1. And yeah. If it doesn't already have a second trait, it actually does gain a second one, but they both are reduced by 1, and you don't gain the extra points to distribute among them.
Okay, so that's not really fair. Or is it? I don't know.
So if you used the watch as a touchstone to provoke the touchstone for the provoked flashback, it would gain a second trait. He wouldn't get the 2x. Or actually, hang on, let me read that again. The new trait starts at rank 2. The player also gains 2 points distributed between the touchstone's traits. If the touchstone has already been given away, reduce each of the touchstone's traits by 1. So he could use the 2 points to offset the reductions, but he would still get the new trait and the points for both traits, and the points to use in either trait, I should say.
Okay.
It just happens that it also reduces everything by 1 afterwards because he doesn't have it anymore. So yes, you can provoke a flashback.
Okay. And this would relate to something that I know that he doesn't, out of character? Or isn't his secret goal, or just anything?
It provokes a flashback that centers on the touchstone.
Oh, okay.
So something that involves the watch. And the watch would be a central focus of the memory that we would witness.
Alright. Yes, I think she's still sort of with her good hand, sort of keeps taking out the watch and is kind of looking at it this way and that way, and looking at all of the little details that are left, even though many of them are worn away. And just getting very hyper-focused on it. The glinting of it kind of sets something off in the back of the Hour's mind, where he is actually standing on, like, I can never pronounce it, esplanade? Esplanade. So not a dock, but a park or a path that overlooks the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And the light is glinting, from the high noonday sun off the water and off of the watch face, as he is standing there, watching the time pass by and waiting for someone to meet him.
All right, as you watch her play with the watch, Hour, the light from the faux gas lamps reflects off it in a way that it really hasn't in a while. It seems like her work has included a little bit of polish. I mean, not that you didn't keep your watch in perfect working order, just she added a little extra shine to it somehow. And that reminds you of a time very long ago. And the audience, our view of it, pulls out from the train and over a park, a beautiful green park with yellowish sands, almost like sandstone, but something a little more solid, forms a path between the trees and the water. There's the park almost faces the sea. There's a wall with little crenellations, more artistic than actual defenses, that goes straight down to a beach that rolls out to the sea, and it goes beach, wall, walk, park, and that's the esplanade that you're on. And that's where we find you, holding the watch, watching the water as it reflects the high noon's sun's rays, and waiting for somebody.
Okay.
Who are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for Douglas.
Okay. Describe Douglas.
Douglas is a taller man who's older guy, white hair, has a little bit of a mustache. He is a political leader who's trying to convince me to do something that I don't want to do.
All right. So you're holding the watch. The watch is running here at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
All
its features are intact.
All its features are intact. The year is one from many years ago, from where you got on the train, as far as you're aware. The month is June. The date is 14th. And the time is approximately 1:15 in the afternoon. You were supposed to meet Douglas here at 1 o'clock. As you snap the watch shut, footsteps. You hear footsteps along the esplanade. Click, clack, fine leather, not some soft gumshoe or something like that. Clearly something that would be worn to, someplace where you would expect a certain level of professionalism. A judge's office, a politician's work, a professional job like lawyer or doctor if they were in office and not about for somebody, but also like mid to high level bankers and that kind of thing. And these footsteps are approaching you.
I'll wait for them because I have a feeling I know who this is. I will just stare at the sea for a while because the sea is calming.
Sure enough, a shadow pulls up beside you, a very tall one, slightly taller than you in point of fact, and stretches out beside your own. You're not looking down, you're looking out, so you don't see his shoes. He comes to a stop. The man comes to a stop beside you because it's definitely a man's silhouette on the ground in the shadow, and he clears his throat.
Yes.
He says a name. Even in the flashback, you can't really hear it, though. But you know it's yours.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What does Douglas sound like? Pick.
Tister DC wants to hear Southern, but hasn't put any points down, but...
Good enough. Texan, okay. Well, good afternoon, and I apologize for my lateness.
Time's relative.
I'm sure it is. I was unavoidably caught up by something in the office. I do believe that we were supposed to meet here 15 minutes ago, and for that I apologize.
It's all right. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, see, that is part of the problem. Now, I'm looking to campaign for re-election in these parts, and there's some folks who prefer you as their new mayor as opposed to me. Now, I'm not one to turn up my nose at a little healthy competition, but I don't think it'd be in either of our best interests if you were, so-called put on the ballot, as it were.
I didn't want to be put on the ballot. I have no idea that I was put anywhere near a ballot.
Well, there's talk that you're gonna be on the ballot, and I was thinking that perhaps a sabbatical away from all of this would convince you otherwise.
What exactly would you like me to do?
I want you to leave, and I'd rather you not come back for a while.
Why should I leave? I have no desire for politics. The few friends I have are well aware of this fact.
I don't know who it is, but somebody seems to think that you're the best candidate. And if you're in the area, you are gonna be up against me on the ballot. I don't know why and I don't know who, but I don't want you on the ballot.
And what are you offering me to leave?
Well, I don't know that it's much of an offer. More like a friendly piece of advice. Because the next step is some unfriendly advice, and I won't be the one giving it to you.
I am unconvinced about the quality of your character if you've already moved to threats. Perhaps I should stay. Perhaps I should run against you. It could be a great time. Everyone could see just how amazingly fun you are as a person.
Well, now I've done plenty for this city.
You didn't win the war.
Now you know that I just had this bum leg that kept me from fighting on the front, but I would have gone if it hadn't been for that. Side note, he walked perfectly fine up to you. His steps were even.
It's a shame about that bum leg.
It surely is.
However,
Otherwise, I would have won this war. Probably by myself.
I'm sure you would have. Don't threaten me again. You'll find that I am not anywhere near as calm or polite when I'm threatened.
Well, are you gonna get out of town?
I don't think so, but I'm not running for politics.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens next. And he starts walking off, once again, perfectly even stride, in those very, very nice leather shoes.
You should get that bum leg checked out.
And as the footsteps fade away, so does the memory. It fades to white as the sun beats down more and more intensely until we are back in the train car, and you are looking at your watch as she inspects it from all angles. All right.
Well, Fadier, maybe he is Rumpelstiltskin.
Somebody said Texan, so I did Texan. Fuck, I don't know.
The Dark One wasn't. Were any of the Dark Ones Texans in Once Upon a Time? I don't know. Anyway, this game.
I've never seen it.
This fairy tale. Yeah, don't. That is a very addictive show. Anyway, real game.
All right,
Woo.
so
Who still has actions? I know I have one.
you and the general still have actions, and then I believe once you two take your actions, we'll probably be done for the night because we are about to hit 10 o'clock. Excuse me.
Do you want to go first? I have a plan, but I was reading the rules and noticed that that actions can take more than a few seconds. It can in fact take days. And I was thinking of doing that, but I want to give Lisa a chance if she wants to go before days pass.
Well, I was thinking of the share a meal thing. Are you allowed to share a meal with more than one NPC?
Yes, certainly.
I was thinking basically that the general was sitting with a bunch of the first class passengers and everybody was swapping stories, which in her case is various military actions, and in their case could be, a killing on the stock market or a fine diamond mine or something like that.
So I will note, if you're doing it with the first class passengers, the doctor is a first class passenger.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Party in the first class car! Woohoo!
Okay.
Champagne and cigars!
And then the charge went, of course, and that was the end of that, obviously.
What?
Of course, we're going to come in on the end of the story.
Oh, okay. So as we finish with the scene in the dining car, with the scene in the dining car with the hour and the Clockwork Ghost, we move to the first class car. It looks a little different now than it did before. The chairs have all been folded neatly out of the way, and a new table has been set up with fine white linen tablecloth. Place settings for how many people?
5, it looks like. Right?
Whatever works, I'm fine.
I think
Sure.
it's... Well, we established there were 4 people in the first class, but now we also have the general, so that makes it 5.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in that car, yes. So one of the people at the table is in fact the asshole in the yellow coat with twiddly mustache.
Can we throw him off the train? Just hypothetically speaking. If it comes
The
up.
rules don't disallow it.
Hey, this is narration, okay? If you can make a story about it, I'm willing to allow it. Fuck. Yeah.
Brandy's flammable, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, speaking of charges, Oliver, as much as you consider yourself the guardian of the first class, we did have an assassin go through here who knifed
An assassin.
Quite. I had to patch up the communications officer. What is his title?
Charlie.
Telegraph operator.
I had to sew Charlie up, and it could have been a lot worse. If you want to watch out for somebody going through here, you should watch out for whoever that is.
Well, I never. I didn't see anybody going through, therefore clearly nobody went through.
Or your eyesight is fading.
Huh?
Or your eyesight is fading. Perhaps the doctor should take a look at you.
Oh, I have very reasonable rates.
Well, I mean, I would be flattered to be looked at by such a fine young lady.
As long as you can afford me.
Madam, my family owns diamond mines. I can afford anything.
Well, remember, without your health, you have nothing.
Well, that reminds me of a story of, I was in my family's estate, and my Aunt Agatha had just come down with a round of gout, and she was behaving abominably about it. She wouldn't even come to the croquet match. We'd been planning it for months, and then she left us one short in competitors. So we ended up having to invite her driver. Can you imagine one of the help playing at one of our croquet matches? But we couldn't leave the numbers unbalanced, and she insisted that he was good enough. And I suppose he was marginally adequate. I mean, he didn't completely disgrace his master, and that's really the important part, if you think about it. So, anyway, we were in this match, and the driver had decided to try and hit the ball through the third wicket as opposed to trying to get a shot off on my cousin Ernest. And he ended up taking not only did he take the third wicket, but he got the fourth as well. It was a very impressive shot, honestly. Surprising to come from one of the help, but I ended up taking the day at that one with a neat hat trick as you'd ever care to see. The face palms are worth it.
You know, some of the best players in the city come from the professional classes. That is why they're professionals, after all.
But that's why we pay them. If they were really good, they'd have money of their own.
Well, for a little while at least.
So, if you're gonna share a meal, then let's hear it.
For a little while at least. Where's my champagne?
So, as you ask where your champagne is, a servant in white livery comes through the door holding, actually he's pushing a cart. It has 4 buckets on it, each one full of ice, and each one with its own champagne bottle. 2 more servants follow him, and as they move, it's just about every 2 people get their own bottle, except for the asshole in the yellow coat who gets his own.
At least that means he'll fall asleep sooner.
There's
Well,
that.
there's that.
That requires us to hit him with bottle.
Prepare for a christening. Clank.
That possibility of this assassin, Doctor. What happened?
It was during the the clacks early on when there was a message coming through.
Oh yes, that message.
The best we have is that someone wanted to at least either stop, delay, or change the message, and so they decided the best way was to knife the telegraph operator. Troubling business entirely.
I mean, tactically speaking, it's sound, but one can't allow it.
Well, that assumes you agree with their goals.
Their goal was to stop the message. Since the message has to get through, obviously I don't. I do realize how many battles are won not by the decorated soldiers, but by the men working the telegraphs, by the women sewing their notes into their skirts and into their corsets.
Hadn't occurred to me, honestly. Still, I did send a lot of messages of my own during the war.
Well, yes, but you had your own methods.
As you're speaking, the servants come through with the first course. Lunch is a light meal and was only served with 3 courses.
Only 3.
Oh, only 3.
Well, I mean, the gout down.
So,
or cause it.
Well, fewer courses, less chance of gout, right?
Oh, true.
So as they're coming around with appetizers, small mushrooms battered and fried, little cucumber sandwiches. Huh?
This game is making me so hungry.
Sorry.
Merc, why are you so good at describing food?
I mean, if you really want to avoid the gout, you have to avoid things like that pate over there. You can give some to me if you want.
Yeah.
Well,
there's
if your aunt signed up to
caviar and crackers, a cheese plate.
I guarantee you she would not have to worry about gout.
So, yeah. This is the appetizer course. Little light things, small treats. Mustache takes a lot of the mushrooms. Like a rude amount of mushrooms because there's not really enough left for everybody else. I mean, like 1 or 2 more people could have some mushrooms if they wanted them, but like there's not enough to go around after he's finished with them.
I wave them away when they come to me, as if too much rich food for me does not do me any good.
But there's never enough champagne.
Champagne is different.
But yeah, there's aside from mushrooms, there's also little cucumber sandwich squares and little light things, appetizers. Whatever you can think of from the appetizer menu at, I don't know, TGI Fridays or something, it's there. I don't know, man.
TGI Fridays, but fancy.
Yeah, there you go.
There was a cafe in Verona, I remember, that served these little cakes. Each one was made differently. Each one was handmade. And the the pastisserie, he would put a special little dollop of a different kind of cream for each one. It would make the tiniest little miniature pictures in the cream. One almost felt bad about eating them, but then you don't want to insult by not eating, and then, of course, they really did taste so good.
What happened to it then? Or is it you think it's still there?
Well, it was still there when our unit marched out. We never got a chance to go back that way. I tried to make sure that we headed the troops off and sent them into the swamp, but even the most successful military actions, I'm never going to swear that somebody didn't get past us.
No, you never are you?
No.
The doctor drinks fairly heavily, but never seems to quite get past the point of minor inebriation.
Yep. The appetizers are removed in a good amount of time, and then the main course is served.
Arcane the Sage suggests crab puffs and cheese and crispy dough.
Well, yes, of course, but that's the appetizers. Now it's time for the main course, which I believe would be fish.
Yes.
But fancy fish.
No doubt. The general accidentally passes it the wrong way, so it will come to the gentleman who had all the mushrooms last.
Yeah, so, the fish is passed around and the fish is offered around, and, it's By the time it gets to him, it's basically head and bones. He takes what he can. But it's clearly not the best parts. He looks at the general a little miffed, but he's not going to collar on it. Because he can't prove that the general didn't know. Or that the general knew the proper way to pass around the fish. So, if you're about done with the meal, are you both done with the meal? Or are you gonna?
I think we are.
All right. So each of you gets a keepsake. The doctor gets the fizzy feeling in your nose from the carbonated champagne. And the general gets the warm glow of satisfaction of snubbing the asshole a couple more times.
Yeah, that's fun.
The gold coat got dragged.
Oh, yeah.
Just not under the train.
Sadly.
Well, I didn't know he stabbed Charlie, so I had no reason to go that far.
Actually, we don't know that he stabbed Charlie. I do not believe that is established one way or the other, at least yet.
I mean, is he really the
we
kind
don't
of
know
guy...
who stabbed Charlie.
Yeah. Is that really the kind of guy who would do the wet works himself?
Oh, there
Well, he
is
failed
that.
at successfully killing Charlie, so I'm going to go with yes.
Good point.
Not good enough at the actually doing the thing. So, because the people he would hire would be competent.
I mean, in
hopefully.
fairness, it would be a really good cover.
I'm too incompetent to have performed this murder, Your Honor. Or no, the Monty Python line. I would like to plead incompetence.
Fair.
My hovercraft is full of eels. Anyway. So,
Alrighty.
All right.
So, it's now the lady doctor's turn.
Sure.
You're the last one to go in this round. I believe what will end up happening is that we'll end up continuing this next week with the same players. Unless I can give a convincing reason to otherwise. We will finish it out then. The second leg starts when one player hits either 2 or 3 flashbacks. We'll figure out when we get there. By the way, yeah, I'll give you your second clue to your secret goal.
Okay, just right now, there's Lettuce. Wanted to say I'm glad y'all could stream this. I backed this game on Kickstarter, but haven't had a chance to look through the rules yet, and it looks very fun. Well, we're having fun so far.
Yeah, we're having a party.
We're role players. Give us roleplay fodder.
I just want you to know, I'm not trying to railroad you.
Okay.
Sorry.
More puns! I need a Nightbot. I need a Nightbot with a puns command. More puns!
Let's go into the Book of Grudges.
All right. So days pass for once without any incident. The doctor keeps taking regular trips to the communications car to look at Charlie's wound. Well, it's on the surface, at least, it slowly heals. Even if
I suspect the general patrols the train, but we're not playing that out.
Yes. And dinners are taken and served in peace. And possibly the man in the yellow coat gets slightly less vigorous in keeping all lower class passengers out of the upper class cabin, especially as they are periodically invited in by the doctor. And after a few days, the train comes to a stop.
Oh, you're calling a stop action?
Yeah.
All right. So,
How does that work? How does that work?
so as it calls to a stop, go ahead and roll me 2d6.
Sure. Um, 11.
No, don't add them up. Just
Sorry.
tell me one. Tell me one,
A
and then
6 and a 5.
a 6 and a 5. Okay. Do you want the 6 to be first, or the 5 to be first?
I said a 6 and then a 5.
Okay. So 6, and then a 5. So, as the days have passed, the train has traveled on its way, and finally it pulls into a station at a very odd place. The coal car is nearly empty, the water tank needs to be refreshed, and people need to be able to get up and walk around even more than, just marching up and down the train. So it pulls into the Bone Chapel. The Bone Chapel offers something for everyone, be they sculptors or historians. Other visitors may also find materials of interest, but the helpful ghosts who maintain the collection would be perplexed to encounter someone who is neither one nor the other. Surely, at a fundamental level, everyone is either a sculptor or a historian. The heart of the Bone Chapel's collection consists of books and genealogical records shelved amid blue vein transi sculptures. Transi. Sculptures of rotting bodies, ribs and chins exposed to the sepulchral air. The chapel ghosts keep the sculptures stocked with surprises to enliven even the dustiest research. A preserved heart is common, but a sleeping bat will do in a pinch. It is said that these sculptures often bear designs or faces familiar to travelers, but they are all quite old. This stop is Danger 4. And it is there we will end.
Okay.
We will stop at the Bone Chapel. Oh my god.
What is it? It's off the screen. It's a bat. It's just a
I-
bat.
It's hanging from the ceiling, so I can't quite make it come all the way.
Okay, no problem. Arcane the Sage says, Bone Chapel, train. Someone restrain Freud.
Oh God, please restrain Freud. Is Freud the asshole in the jacket?
I think I named
Does
him
he have-
Oliver. We don't know his last name, though.
Does he have a
Fair.
pipe? Then yes.
You named him Oliver. No, but he's got a handlebar mustache that he curls every day with mustache wax he never seems to run out of, so he always looks like an asshole.
Too bad we're not playing Titanic.
Someone's going to try and suplex this train, and it's not going to be my fault.
All right, so that was our game for this evening. We will continue this game in next session. So far, the Hour, the Doctor, and the General each have one flashback, and the Clockwork Ghost has none.
I'm a ghost.
Yep, you're a ghost.
Someone will have to
something.
trigger yours.
So since our time is up, fair travelers, the camera pulls away from the Bone Chapel as people pile off to enjoy
We're to danger.
the chapel ghosts and the even just walking the promenade, the station up and down where the train stops. You might not go into the Bone Chapel. You might. It just depends on your particular inclinations. Either which way, the camera pulls away slowly and we fade to black. So, that has been our game. I am Merc. I was the conductor for this evening. Well, I'm the GM, kind of, everyone who wasn't a player character.
Yoo-hoo.
Alright, and let's go clockwise one more time. Zardoz, you're up.
I am the Hour of Devastation. I am Zardoz. I am at Once and Future Darker on Twitter, and I am working on a couple of other projects. So we'll see you all again next week, at least from my end of the building.
Lisa, Dr. C Punk on Twitter and on anything where I'm not using my actual name.
I'm Josh. I was playing the Lady Doctor, who someday will have a name. We haven't quite figured out how we give our characters name. I'm pretty sure it's just narration, but I could be wrong. Outside of this, I am either Josh or Neme or Nemex on various places across the social network.
All right.
And
finally?
I have been the Clockwork Ghost, otherwise known as Ms. Chrysala on various social media platforms. I also run the Magic Fish Radio stream and social media stuffs. So if you're talking to us through that, you're probably talking to me. And I pretty much have nothing else to plug except keep watching this channel because it's fun. And I am usually the person doing the crafty streams on crafty hours for my lunch breaks on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. because otherwise I might forget to take a lunch break because work from home is weird. That said, there was not one on Thursday because I got my first vaccine on Wednesday, and I'm still not sure what day it is. But we will try to resume on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's the beauty, Cerebos. You don't need to know you don't need to know what day it is.
Oh, yes, and thank you, Penguin King.
Oh, the publisher.
The publisher got back to us. You retweeted us. Thank you. Penguin King Inc. Was that Zardoz contacted the publisher to ask us, is it Kerberos or Cerberus? Whoops.
Cerebos.
Cerebos. You know, we're White Wolf players now. There's a lot of the thesaurus is the biggest monster in the game.
What are words?
What are words? What is time? Why are we in this handbasket? But yeah, so it's thank you, Merc, for running game this week, both because my brain is mush and it's just fun to be a player sometimes.
Yeah, you know. And we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, and we'll continue this next week. Exit to Eden was about to launch into a big story arc, and I'm fine with putting that off for another week. Cause also my brain is mush, and I can only hope it will re-solidify by next weekend. But I can't be sure. #Spoonie Life. But yeah.
Alrighty. So hang around for the raid, and we'll see you later.
Yes, week. Raid. That's what I should have been looking at. See, mushy brain. Who's on? And chat. So some channels have very, experienced rules about it's Spirit Chrysalis is on and it's their birthday. So we're okay with you sharing links to your streams and things in our chat if you want. Just don't abuse it. And also if you have people you would like to see us raid, that we take suggestions for that because it's nice to pay it forward and make new friends. But it is Spirit Chrysalis's birthday and it looks like they are streaming, which I'm kind of confused of because I was supposed to go to their birthday party online after this, so I guess it's a stream. Surprise!
We'll see you there, I guess.
First, let me make sure that they are rateable, because not everyone is. Let me make sure I'm spelling their name correctly. Okay. They are playing... they are they, them, and they are playing Persona 5 Royal? Royal? I don't know. We'll find out. Royal. Okay. Okay. And we will raid with happy birthday. But we never have a raid command. Now we do, because it's their birthday. So, thanks everyone. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you back on the train next week.
Get the story back on track.